Brenda Quintana coming to you from the Beehive. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable accordion Shadowbox card. And this card, it has a lot of spring to it, but you can squish it down and put it into an envelope. And when you pull it out, it just wants to spring up. And so you can display it on its edge. And the light comes in and it hits this little submarine. And you can kind of see the little fish. And I've created some bubbles and texture in there. And I think this just would make a really cute birthday card. We're using this new stamp set called Your Sublime, and it has a lot of neat little images in it. And today we're just going to use this little submarine one right down here. So let me show you how to make this card. To start off with, you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 11 inches by 5.5 inches. And right out here, I have my simply scored scoring board, and we're going to start off by scoring this piece. Put the 11-inch side up at the top like this, and we are going to score at the 4.25 inch mark, the 4 3/4 inch mark, the 5.25 inch mark, and then we're going over here to 9.5 inches, the 10-inch mark, and the 10.5 inch mark. And then you can put your scoring board away. And then we're going to take our Big Shot, and we are going to cut a circle into our frame to act as, or into the card to act as a porthole. So take a look at your cardstock, and I've got a bunch of score lines off to the end right here, and then I've got this end right here that has this bigger rectangle on it, and I want to be cutting my circle into this bigger end rectangle. So I'm going to put this on my cutting plate. And I've got my circles framelets right here, and I'm going to need the 5th largest circle. I'm going to include in my counting the scallop circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to center this on either side of this rectangular piece. I'm going to make sure that it has equal distance from side to top. So I need to scoot that down a bit. You know, just roughly, you know, it will look better if it's centered here. And I like to have it about the same distance from the top. So let me go ahead and put my cutting plate on here. And let me roll this through. Okay, so I have cut my porthole, and now I'm going to keep this little framelit here because I'm also want to create a porthole frame. And so this was my circle I used for the porthole, and I'm also going to need the 3rd largest circle, and I'm going to include in my count the scallop circle. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to nest these into each other. So you want to make sure that it's equal distance all the way around. Like this one isn't like over like here. You want to make sure it looks centered on the these two circles are centered into each other perfectly, because we want a frame that has equal distance all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And so you'll have some scrap pieces, and then you'll have your frame piece. So now I'm just going to lay my frame right over top of my hole, and I want to stamp Happy Birthday down near the bottom here. And I've got my Marina Mist ink pad, which I'm going to open up. And this Happy Birthday comes from the Sassy Salutations stamp set, and it's right down here. And I'm just going to tap this on my ink pad and ink it up. And I like to have my frame on here so I have an idea of how far I need to put my Happy Birthday down. And I'm just going to stamp this directly onto my cardstock. And then I can set my ink pad aside. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere, take some Tombow glue and just put a thin line of Tombow on my porthole piece. Got a little bit of glue on the edge right there. And I'm going to adhere this down. Now I like to, when I'm creating a porthole, I like to kind of have those rivets. I kind of like to make it look like it's an actual porthole. So to make that kind of easy on myself, I grab my piercing mat and my paper piercer, and the way I kind of eyeball my piercing for one of these circles. So how I do it is I pierce kind of in the center. I find the center mark right in between the inside edge and the outer edge. And I will do kind of a north, south, east, west design. So I start off on my north side, come down and do my south side. Then I go over to the east side. Then I go over to my west side. And then I just do the in between, like the northeast, and you come down here and do southeast. And this way you can get it pretty centered. It's not that difficult to do. I kind of just eyeball it. And that looks pretty good. It's not 100% perfect, but you really won't notice it. And then I will grab these are little silver mini brads, and you just pop these little guys into place, and they've got little legs. And I just make sure I give them a good squish, because on the back, if you kind of don't squish them down all the way, they can kind of like to turn on you. Come on. It's not as hard as it looks. So just let's keep going. If you like to, if you don't want to put these brads in, just having the little pierce marks also looks nice, because that just kind of gives the frame the appearance of having some sort of rivet. You don't have to actually go as far as to put the rivets in, but it does kind of look nice. So you can do this little step, or you can just leave it like that. Sorry, I'm going a little bit off camera here. And finally, this is the last one. So you can just set that aside for a moment. And now I've got a scrap piece of crushed curry. I'm going to take my Memento ink pad and the Submarine stamp. Now this Submarine stamp comes with other images in it, or sorry, other pieces in it. It has the fish, it has some bubbles, and it has the words "You're Sublime." And sometimes you're not going to want all those things right stamped on your image. So you can cut up your stamps, and you can still bring them back together if you want to stamp them as a complete image. But I went ahead and I cut off this piece, and I might even cut off the words away from the bubbles at some point. And then I also cut off my little fish so I could stamp them separately. So then what I'm left with is this Submarine stamp. And I'm just going to ink this up. Don't worry, the stamping police won't come if you cut your images up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp my Submarine on my scrap piece of crushed curry cardstock. And then I am going to take, this is the handheld 1/4 inch punch, and I kind of want to create the image that, or the idea that these are windows and you can see right through the submarine. So I found that the best size circle to do this is the 1/4 inch handheld. So I'm just kind of lining up my punch and I'm peeking through, and I'm just going to see that it's kind of centered, and I'll go ahead and punch that and punch it again. So you just kind of have little windows. And then you can go ahead and you can cut out your submarine, and I'm not going to bore you with my cutting on camera. So you just go ahead and cut this little image out. And when you're done, you're going to have this little image right here. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/8 inches by 5.5 inches. And you're just going to take your piece of cardstock, and I'm going to line this up on the back kind of against my score line here underneath my window. And I'm going to take a pencil once I've got it lined up, and I'm going to just draw a circle. This will let me know exactly where the window is, so when I go to stamp my fish, I will know exactly where I am stamping them. So I've got my little fish, and I put them on a tiny block here, and I'm going to bring back my Marina Mist ink pad, and I'm just going to go ahead and ink this up in Marina Mist, and I'm just going to create a little pattern with my fish here. Like that. Maybe one like here. You can, when you're doing this, you'll see that you're able to see a little bit into the window. So you can kind of, if you want to have fish that are kind of coming off as well, because you'll be able to see. But the ones that are inside the pencil line are the ones that are going to be seen. So you'll just create your little pattern like that. And then what you want to do is erase your pencil line, because next thing we're going to do is run this through an embossing folder, and it will be difficult to erase the pencil line if you run it through the embossing folder first. So now we're going to grab the Big Shot again, and we're going to take my multi-purpose platform. I'm going to open it up all the way, and I'm going to put down my cutting plate, my first one. I'm going to take my folder, and I'm going to put my piece of cardstock in here, pop it on the plate, grab the other one, and I'm going to crank this through. This is going to give us some texture, and it's going to create the look of lots of under the sea sort of bubbles. Let's set that aside. And then what you're going to do is you're going to adhere your piece. Make sure you're putting glue on the right side. The fish should be on the front. And I'm just going to put glue and glue on this piece. And when you're gluing this down, you're going to make sure that you're in between, centered in between those score lines, because you want those score lines to be able to fold down. And if you're over top of a score line, you won't be able to fold it properly. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this accordion piece. So we're going to fold it in, and then fold it back, and then fold it in again. We'll do the same thing for the other side. Fold this one in and back and in. Let me grab the bone folder and grab that for a second. And then I found the easiest thing to do, so this will be the tab end. So just go ahead and put some glue on here. And what I do is I line up these two pieces, and then I squish down, and I let it find its natural settling place once it's squished down. You want to make sure you squish it down, because if it doesn't have a perfect settling spot, you could end up with a bow in your card and it won't mail perfectly flat like you want to. So put the glue down, line it up, and then make sure you squish it down right away, and that will allow the glue is still going to be a little wet, and it will allow it to move right into the proper alignment for your card. And all we have to do is adhere this little submarine. So I'm just going to take some dimensionals. I'm going to put one up top here, one over here. And then I think we can squish one more here if we're very creative and try and get that in between those two circles. And then just remove the backing. I like to use dimensionals on this because it's on the submarine, because it will make it stick out a little bit from its background. And then I'm just going to position it in between the fish like that. And there you go, a very cute submarine birthday card. All the supplies you'll need to make this accordion Shadowbox card are available for purchase on my blog. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Bye for now.